And welcome to Furry Frequencies, the soundtrack to your furry life. I'm Lifty, and joining me on the podcast tonight is Silox.
Hey, how's it going?
And our special guest for this evening is Ezo Wolf. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
So on this episode, we're going to be talking with Ezo about his time in the fandom, the Minnesota furry scene, and other topics. And it's probably going to get a little silly in here, so bear with us. But before we get started, we of course want to let everybody know that we do have a Discord open. If you want to call in and say what you like for a few minutes, it's very easy to join. Just go ahead and make sure that you go to our Twitter page at Furry Frequency, and pinned to the very top of our feed is our Discord link. Go ahead, click that, and that will transport you directly to our important README page on Discord, if you have a Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make sure you read that so that you know what to expect and what to do to call in, and then jump in our waiting room and get comfy while we start this episode.
Like a city council meeting, and people are just going to be berating me.
City council meeting.
Oh,
yeah, just people just shouting about absolute nonsense at people.
Oh, well, that's what makes it. So, from what I gather, it's your third year in the furry community, Ezo. Is that correct?
With furry migration, that's kind of like the furry birthday for me. So it was supposed to be this past weekend, and yeah, that would have been 3 years in the fandom for me officially.
Wow, yeah. So tell us, actually, we want to get started by saying that it was our plan to come to furry migration this year, and we had everything planned. We had our room planned, we had flights ready, and we were really, really hoping that the coronavirus would be done and over with by now. We could have like a coronavirus is over party in Minneapolis at furry migration this year. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's still here. Furry migration 2020 is not. Rest in peace. We hardly knew ye. And so we are having to do our furry migration episode without furry migration.
We'll make it work somehow.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We always do.
Well, I mean, we could probably make it work next year, I guess. I don't know. I'm just hoping that if this shit is still around next year, I'm gonna be very, very irate. Like, I'm gonna go full bitch Karen mode, because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That this shit is still going on.
So are you gonna complain to like the manager of coronavirus or something?
Yes.
How does that work?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. Okay.
Oh my God, Lord help me, please.
Away.
So 3 years later, tell us, how did you get started in the furry community, Ezo?
Yeah, I've always kind of been a little furry adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back to when I was like 5-6 years old, I tell the story now. Like, I asked my mom if it was possible for me to become a Looney Tunes, and she said it wasn't, and then I cried for like 2 days. And then 30 years later, here I am, a cartoon guy. But yeah, living downtown in Minneapolis, I was actually into the leather scene, and started off as a leather pup, Leather Wolf. Mm-hmm. Some of you might have seen my hood. And so I've kind of always been just kind of like straddling that line. And my roommate was out for the weekend, and I had the whole place to myself. And I was kind of bored, and was going through the litany of just going through the various apps on your phone, just seeing what's going on, checking Twitter, Facebook, yada yada, and noticed there's a lot of fursuiters showing up all of a sudden. I'm like, what's that? What's that about? There's furry art, fursuiters, all showing up around me. So I asked one of them, I just sent them a DM like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh yeah, there's a furry convention happening in town at the Hyatt Regency. It starts on Thursday. I'm like, oh, well, I have nothing else to do, and checked where the Hyatt Regency was from where I lived at the time. It was about 4 blocks. I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I have nothing to do. It's only like $20 or $30 to register. I'm going to register, walk down there, and see what the hell this is all about. The last convention I went to that wasn't like work related was like Star Wars Celebration 2 in Indianapolis back in like the early 2000s. So I didn't know what I was in for, and my God, like I kind of don't even believe it now. Just like me going there, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Never. The only time I've interacted with furries was briefly in EVE Online before that, and just showed up, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do,
Awesome.
and here I am.
And in that 3 years, you've of course created your own fursona. You've had a fursuit. You've actually created like, this really charismatic character. That's every time I see your character or I see videos of your character on Twitter, I always brighten it. It always brightens my day because it's always it's silly yet he has this persona that is like serious on the outside, but he's just really silly on the inside. And tell us more about how you created that character of yours, because he always piques my interest.
Like I'm just like tuning my own horn or something, but like really, I'm just like the typical like it's just a fuzzy version of me.
Oh,
Like when there's like any sort of like story layers and abstract layers that I add on top of it, or just like taken from adventures me and my friends have had from video games and stuff, and mainly like EVE Online and games like that, and just kind of make them a part of my character. And me as a person, I have lived through those experiences in the game, and now my character kind of lives those experiences more firsthand through story.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of just an old grump, but I kind of try to walk the middle path and be nice to people when I can.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you were part of the leather scene, and I'm supposing you still are. How big is like the leather scene in Minnesota compared to other places? Like I know that DC has a huge leather scene. We've had this huge event here in DC for a while called the Lobo. And it was for furries, it was for pups, it was for anybody who just wanted to kind of get out of the house and go to like this big gay rave. And I'm wondering,
it was super fun.
Oh yeah, it was super fun, but of course, coronavirus kind of killed that with the venue kind of closing. So I was wondering, like, is there anything like that up there?
A few events. The names of them kind of escape me right now because I never actually attended them. But the pup group I was in, Twin Cities Puppy Pack, they actually would like send a group over to like these. They're basically like leather conventions, and they actually have some sort of like contest where like they crown some leather boy or something like that. I'm not too well versed in that aspect of it, so I can't quite speak to it. But in terms of like the size of the community, yeah, there's a whole lot of people up here that even leather community, furry community, just anything. Like the Twin Cities area has a big, has a very big population, and just by that you have more people interested in all sorts of things, and it's much easier to meet up because the population's pretty condensed here through the whole state.
Okay, yeah. And you get to see a lot of crossover between the furry community there and the leather community as well, right?
Of course. Yeah, it's kind of like once I kind of hopped over into the furry side of things, I'm like, oh, here's actually some pups I recognize that were like in the the pup chats and Twitter and such. I'm like, oh, you're here too. Oh, hi.
Yeah, nice.
Like there's quite a bit of crossover. Like any sort of I know there's been past discourse on like Twitter and such about like pups shouldn't be in the fandom, but it's not really. I don't really hear that up here at all. It's everyone's pretty cool with it.
Yeah,
and I think as they should be. I mean, and I've heard that too. I've heard that there's like a lot of debate about whether pups have a place in the fandom, or if it's too crass to be at furry conventions. And I'll just say that I think they have a place in the fandom, and I have nothing wrong with it at all. We shouldn't chastise the whole pup scene just because they're not running around in these cute little fursuits. It's
Like,
people.
And
Just
everyone's own experience with pup play is very different. Like my own, I'm not acting like an actual dog, like barking and such. Like I'm Anthro Wolf.
Hmm.
I have my hood. I usually just have like a vest on or something, and some badass boots. I talk to you, in English or whatever language I choose to speak at that moment, and interact with you like a person. So really, it's just another way of showing a persona if you play it like that,
Yeah.
rather than spending thousands of dollars on a fursuit. I drop 50 to $100 on a hood or something, and bam, I'm a dog. Look at that. So I think it's a bit of an accessibility option too, to kind of get in that headspace of being your fursona species. If a hood is available, that's kind of a challenge too with that.
Awesome, awesome. So, what was the weirdest, or the most, I guess, the most unique encounter you've had, either in the leather scene or in the furry fandom that you can remember?
I would think that like the most unique and like i.e. like weird encounter would come from the leather community, but
Yeah.
it really wasn't. Like I actually ran into my old boss at a leather night, and I had my hood on so he didn't recognize me, thank God. But I saw him eyeballing me. I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. But like yeah, the furry fandom, it kind of just blew my mind, just like going to BLFC was my first big con, and just seeing what big cons were like it was just like, holy crap, this exists. Like, why haven't I been doing this before? Like, just hanging out with people till 4 a.m., walking through a casino hotel lobby, and just having the time of your life.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. So, at BLFC, can you walk around in your fursuit in the casino, or did they make you take that off?
Like, not on the casino floor yet. There's like little like tiled walkways that you can go through, but the
Oh,
second you step on the carpet, that's like the gambling space. Like no face coverings whatsoever. And
okay.
and back
Yeah.
then I only had my leather hood too.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they were very much don't wear that on the carpet.
Okay. Interesting. And now, since then, of course, you've become kind of like a fixture in all these large conventions. Like I saw you at Anthrocon, I think I saw you at MFF, and every time you create all of these different kinds of how to say this, but you're always like creating funny scenes. It's not like a scene that it's there to gain attention. It's you having fun, but in by you having fun, you make you make a lot of people around you just have a lot of fun with you as well.
It's awesome. Like I've actually like never really gotten like any direct feedback on like my fursuiting stuff. Just people like, oh, you got cool pictures and whatnot. But
Yeah.
actually, a lot of it was from Gail. She runs a bunch of fursuit performance panels, and also Ditman Rat. He ran another fursuit performance panel at First Squared, which was the second con I went to after I got my suit, and that just changed everything for me. Like I'm realized like, oh yeah, like if I'm just standing around walking in a suit, I look kind of boring. Like no one can see my face. My gestures are much more subdued wearing a big suit.
Hmm.
So I became much more mindful about, sort of like animations. Like I kind of say like you got to be like an NPC. Like every sort of action needs to be like an animation. Like even the way you walk, across a hotel, the con floor space
Hmm.
needs to have a very specific walk to your character. It doesn't have to be super animated. It can be subdued, or even just like if you're standing around waiting for a friend in fursuit. Like one thing I do is kind of like a lean up against a wall animation, and kind of like look like I'm kind of pissed off, and cross my arms and kind of hold my paw out and check my claws for a bit while I'm waiting, and just running through these animations constantly, and
Yeah.
it kind of creates a much more like immersive experience.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
wow, I need to do that because I
Yeah. Those are some really good
for
tips,
real.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the most emotive in suit. Uh, so no, those are actually great tips. I'll have to try that out for
But yeah,
myself.
It's like
yeah, but
like
but
like
also, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, have a set, like, like go to animations. Like if you're standing around, if you're waiting, if you're with a group of other furries, like just kind of your go to what to do, where you're not just standing still and looking really boring.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 But you mentioned also earlier that you get into a headspace with your character, and that also helps bring out the character when you are walking, when you're just, like you said, just leaning against a table, or I mean a wall. Um, and I'm watching this chat, by the way.
Wow, that's
Hi,
everybody's
Louise.
uh,
that's great. This is great.
yeah, this is great. This is great. But yeah, um, it's I mean, I go to furry conventions all the time, and of course I see a lot of people that just don a fursuit and they just walk around. They're not really, they just act so human, and in a fursuit it kind of comes off as very stiff. You, on the other hand, I noticed that you are way more animated with your character, and it's really great to see.
Keepers, that's what I'll say.
Yeah. uh, and people are
Yeah, yeah, you can follow Gail at Nexus Wolf on Twitter. Yeah,
okay.
she's
Yeah.
really very good at fursuit performance tips, and
Okay.
I'm a
Nice.
student of hers, basically.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look her up because I recognize that name, but I didn't know that she actually gave lessons on that.
The panel I went to at Anthrocon, they had a big room set up for it, like one like the yeah, you had like 3 sets of chairs. It was so big, and it was packed. There was like standing room in there.
Hmm.
Quite a few good tips, and it's just stuff that you don't really think about until someone tells you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's actually quite common. It's just you don't really think about it until you hear somebody else say it, and then you're just like, hey, why didn't I think of that?
Sorry, just a bit distracted just for a split second. I got like 20 messages from my Eve Alliance saying that there's a big capital ship fight going on, but alas, you guys have my attention.
Yeah.
You are my priority. So
Oh, thank you.
just imagine right now in the background, there's like hundreds of capital ships with thousands of players blowing each other up behind me, while I'm just completely oblivious to everything.
And meanwhile, people in the chat, they're standing Luis in we stand Luis in his house.
Oh my god.
This is great. Like I've never had this.
Excellent.
We've never had this. The chat. We've never had the chat actually be this
Active.
Active. Yeah. So
And
yeah,
hilarious.
great job, audience. Because
Yeah. So
Almost
you
like they have
said
an active audience.
yeah.
you said you play Eve Online. How long have you been playing that?
Like, I started my first trial account back in like 2006, but I didn't really start playing it seriously till 2009. And like, even then it was kind of semi-casual-ish, and I didn't get kind of heavy into the shit until like 2014-ish.
Yeah, I think I tried Eve Online probably once, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool, but this is way too in-depth for me, and I don't think I'd enjoy this. But
It's definitely a social game. Like,
yeah.
I went to it first because I still am a big Star Trek fan, and I just wanted to do, like space exploration, go but where no wolf has ever gone before. And what I ended up doing was actually meeting some of the best people I have in my life. Like, yeah, the people I've roomed with at BLFC 2018 or MFF 2018. Oh shit, even like FWA. Yeah, all people I met from Eve. All people that are in
Awesome.
my alliance or were in our corp Circle Jerk. Most
Awesome.
dangerous tale in New Eden. But yeah, built some lifetime connections with those guys. So it's definitely a good game to get into, just to kind of like hang out with people. And when you spend like 6 hours in one battle together and just absolutely just hating it, just having your commander yell at you and you're bleeding losses and you're like, oh god, why am I even doing this? Got to keep fighting. And then you meet up at a con 3 months later, and you're like, oh my god, do you remember that battle? Like, oh shit, that was so terrible. That was like 10 fucking hours, and what were we even doing? And other people around you, the other non-E furries will hear you thinking like, it's like an actual like military veteran story, because we'll be talking about it so in depth, with such passion, and it's just kind of fun to have those meetups and talks and such.
Yeah, that's actually really great to hear. Now, do you play other games? Do you stream other games? Because I know that you're a big game streamer. Um,
Need to ask. Actually, I haven't streamed in 2 years, but just so happens to coincide with setting up all this equipment for this podcast here. Got all my streaming equipment set back up,
oh,
and
sweet.
was thinking about doing some Elite Dangerous, some kind of just space tours. Let's go fly around the local cluster, see what the cool stars are that we can see in our night sky, on Earth right now. And then
Oh,
I've
nice.
been during this whole time, I've been trying to get my furry mod to work for MechWarrior 5. It's not packaging correctly anymore. But also, kind of stream some MechWarrior 5 because who doesn't love giant robots smashing buildings and shit like that?
Yeah,
I know some people more than others.
yeah. Um, so Silox, I know you like. You're not into mechs, but you're into macros. And that kind
Oh
of ties into
boy.
what you like.
Oh
Oh, come on, don't
my
be bashful.
I'm
Don't
not.
be bashful. We're
I'm
all
not.
friends here.
I'm not being bashful. No, no, I've dabbled. Well, I guess when I was younger, I kind of dabbled in mechs. I was big into like Gundam and stuff like that, and I have all like the Mech Assault games on like the old Xbox and Xbox 360. But gosh, I really haven't dabbled in mechs that much in a long time, believe it or not. Um, but no, I guess there's a tie-in in a way between macro and mechs. You're not wrong about that.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned Ezo that you're into Star Trek. You're a huge fan of Star Trek. So
Say I'm a above average fan of Star
above
Trek.
average. Okay. So I have to ask you: have you seen the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Lower Decks, by any chance?
Really haven't.
Okay. It's so it's like
Seen like the previews and such for like what's your verdict on it?
I've watched 2 episodes because I figured, I give it a try. It's their attempt at finally doing a hilarious, comedic Star Wars take on the series, and it kind of has a lot of Rick and Morty vibes, and I get that because it's sci-fi and that's what's in right now with science fiction. I mean, it's not a bad show. There is definitely some homage to like um, stuff that's been on Star Trek, like gosh, the Klingons and so we know I'm not that well.
Romulans and the Ferengi.
Yeah. I'm not well versed in Star Trek. That was my mom. I'm more of a Star Wars guy. But
I mean, I watched some Voyager.
I grew up on Voyager. My mom would always watch that.
I love it all. Like I love Star Wars, Star Trek. Probably the thing that's closest to my heart though is Battlestar Galactica, just because of how just depressing as fuck it is. It's a lot of my like character inspiration comes from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that's another one my mom's into. Good lord, she is a nerd when it comes to sci-fi stuff. I guess she
Like,
has it
low
on.
tech and space,
Yeah, but no, I think Lower Decks. It's an all right show. I mean, it's not groundbreaking. It's not to the par of Rick and Morty, but it's also not something that's just complete and utter garbage that you should avoid. So if you want to kill 30 minutes, you could do worse.
I'll admit I'm old. There's a point when you're like an age where like something's on my body, like I'll just fuck it, whatever. And I'm at an age where I'm like is this a zit or is this like a benign tumor? I need to probably go to the doctor and get this checked out. Like that's what happens when you hit 30.
Oh, that makes me feel depressed because I'm 31 and I'm not doing any of that crap.
Just wait.
Like, do I need to start checking myself for tumors now?
I got 2 years on you.
Okay.
It'll happen soon to you, Lifty. Don't worry.
I mean, it's gonna happen to you too because damn it.
Now if I go outside, it's like I need to put on some sunscreen and I'm a darker complexion, so I can stay out in the sun, just fine. But I'm like I gotta put on some sunscreen too because I just think I gotta be safe.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah.
I got it this far, damn it! I gotta keep going.
No, that just reminds me of
Can't
that.
stop, won't stop.
about that one song by Baz Luhrmann, "Don't Forget the Sunscreen" or something, or yeah, wear sunscreen. And it's like he said this to a graduating class back in like '97, and I'm like, wow. I don't know why I just brought that up, but anyway.
My mind just thinks about a vacation I took in Fort Myers Beach back when I was in high school, and we saw what we called the purple men on the beach, and there were these beach vendors that pushed carts around with big wheels so they could get through the sand, and it didn't look like they had seen sunscreen ever in their lives. And there's these Caucasian males whose skin is like dark purple because of just the layers of tanning and sun damage over and over. And like, oh, I'm never gonna not put on sunscreen.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of anybody just. I've never heard of anybody on the beach having purple or having purple anything on their body like that. I'm like, what?
Was it Thanos?
Or Grimace?
Oh my god! Holy crap! Like if you put like a skinny ripped Thanos, that's what those guys were.
Oh Jesus! Okay,
It was terrifying.
that's an image I don't want to conjure up in my mind.
Damn it! I was hoping for Grimace on the beach.
Okay, that's even worse than Thanos, honestly.
Grimace. Grimace is just budget Thanos.
Uh.
So I kind of derailed the topic there for a bit. So you feel
Oh,
like
no, you're fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. So you just mentioned vacation, so I have to ask, if coronavirus hadn't happened, did you have anything planned for this summer? Like plan to do anything?
Well, like we got living in a house with a few furries, and we got like a really badass like second story deck here in a nice backyard, and the whole idea was like we'd host like parties and shit over here. But since the coronavirus has happened, like that's kind of gone out the window. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean the summer would be like last year I was kind of already. I told myself I wasn't going to go to as many cons, and I think AC was not on my list of ones to go to. So maybe I might have visited family, because that's where my priorities are. Cons, partying, and visiting family in that order.
Yeah. I was, like I said earlier in this podcast, I was really hoping that by now coronavirus would be over. I even made plans. I was hoping that Anthrocon would not be affected, or that everything would be over by Anthrocon. And if I could just go to Anthrocon, my summer would be saved. But no, everything just kind of went to shit and just kind of lingered on and just went from bad to worse. And I'm just standing here and we're just watching the number of conventions that are still holding on for hope just like dwindle and dwindle.
Miracle.
Until there were none left.
And then there were none.
Yeah, and then there were none. Now we've got 2021 cons that are looking at what's going on and thinking, maybe we should not hold it 2021 as well. Oh, God bless
First
those.
Squared is already canceled for next year, or
Yeah.
they're not canceled, but they're going remote, virtual.
Yeah.
Which I just say it's been really cool to see like the various conventions kind of pushing towards the virtual cons. Like I remember like the Down Home FurCon was one of the first ones to do that, and it was a nice just lift up out of the darkness for a bit. And I haven't done too many more of them. I did went to Nonstop World. That was great. I love that. Like walking around the Minecraft Hyatt Regency and getting stuck in the fire tunnel, the sky bridge, and it was just it was cool to see so many people that you'd see at cons just kind of walking around randomly in a Minecraft server and just it's a testament to the fandom that we'll keep innovating. We'll find a way.
Yeah. Now I didn't attend Nonstop World, but I've heard rave reviews about it from just about everybody that attended, and I did not know that there was a Minecraft Hyatt Regency lobby in there. Like, wow.
Rooms and it's the whole hotel. They had the rooms and like the dance floor space, and even like you could just go walk into any of the hotel rooms, and some of them had like little Easter eggs in them.
Wow, I got to give props to Nonstop Pup about that because wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, um, in the fandom, we've had so many people just innovating virtually in place of the conventions that they, of course, can't attend this year.
Which
We
is really
had,
great to see,
yeah,
by the way.
we had a virtual Eurofurence where they recreated the entire atrium area at Eurofurence in VR chat. We have Cooper Tom that he creates all these amazing worlds out of
I
VR
see
chat.
his VR chat stuff. Like, I need
Yeah.
to kind of get in on that someday. Just
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's not like I don't know, it was like a mall or something, like a Babbage's store from like the '90s. Like, I
Yeah.
just
He
lost
he
my
made
shit
a
seeing that. It
mall.
was great.
He made a mall. He made a Yugo dealership. He had the most amazing commercial for
That's
that
great.
Yugo dealership. He had this one world where he's tiny and there's just like a giant New Balance shoe, and the detail on that New Balance shoe is just insane. Like it's everything from like the worn out New Balance logo at the bottom is all there, and I'm like, you bless you. You spent so much time recreating this shoe just so you can climb all over it. Every little detail, it's there. It's amazing. And you've got to just like have some hope for the furry community when you see all this because despite everything that's going on, our furry community, it still continues to innovate and it still continues to persevere despite what's going on. And it's amazing. It's amazing what comes out afterwards.
Testament to the creativity and the tenacity of the furry
Oh
fandom.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, I think all of these virtual conventions that have been created, I think a fair amount are going to be sticking around, even as we do transition back towards having physical conventions where we're all face to face
Yeah.
with each other. I think some of these are really going to stick around because they've proven to be so successful
Mhm.
as alternatives to not being able to attend conventions
Yeah.
in person, which
Yeah.
is good to see.
Yeah. And like I said in one of our past episodes, that I think that in the future we're going to see conventions actually opening up spaces, or they're going to be opening up VR chat servers that will be a kind of like a virtual recreation of the convention space so that people that can attend, they can obviously attend via VR chat. And for anybody that just wants to check it out while at the convention, they of course, can bring their headset and check it out on VR chat. So the whole thing about virtual conventioning is actually, I don't think it's going to go away. Once coronavirus is over, we're still going to go back to regular conventions, but I think VR conventions in some way, shape, or form are here to stay.
Kind
And
of missed Lifty from since you didn't go to Nonstop World, but one thing I loved about it, which I want all conventions to do from now on, which
mhm,
is probably not going to happen, is they had almost like a Forza Horizon style, like just kind of constant DJ stream going, where they'd like announce events and announce what's going on. And I
mhm,
thought like, wow, would it be great to go to like an actual in-person convention and be able to tune into like a stream and have like a furry streamer playing whatever. It's
yeah,
like, oh, it's a turn of the hour. Then the DJ says, hey, we got these panels at this time. We got food truck out this way. We got these events happening here. Contest starts in 2 hours. Just sort of that connectivity that you can just connect into and hear what's going on no matter where you are. And I just love that about like Nonstop World. Like, even if I was off exploring, God knows where, I could still hear what was happening everywhere else and still feel like I was part of there. Like, I would love to see things like that happen at conventions in the future, in person, virtual, whatever.
yeah, yeah. That would be great. Um, and I'm just reading through the stream chat, um, and people are talking about the Sky Bridge. I'm guessing that I'm talking. Everybody's talking about that long sky bridge between the Hyatt and the convention
Like,
center.
yes.
That's like hotter than the surface of the sun.
Oh, at MFF? Oh,
Yes,
oh, that thing is horrible. It's the worst. It is the worst.
they didn't turn on the heat this past year, did they? Like I remember going in 2017 and it was like miserable. And then I
It
go
wasn't
and
too bad
Yeah, it
yeah,
wasn't.
this year.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it wasn't too bad.
yeah.
No, because this was my first year with my full suit. I wore it and I didn't really burn up at all. Actually, it was actually pretty tolerable. I actually the year prior, where they had it turned up to the max, I was in my partial and I was sweating like 5 minutes in. Walking through it, I'm like, oh my god, this is horrible.
Yeah.
How could you do this to a bunch of people who are wearing, shag carpets, $6,000 shag carpets? How could you do this? Someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
So,
My
uh-huh.
yeah, my first MFF that was 2018 is actually my fursuit debut. It arrived a week before the con, so that was good timing. And put it on, didn't really know what to expect, and holy crap, am I not good with heat at all? I got one of those. Since then, I got an easy cooldown vest, like one of the ones
Mm-hmm.
that can like freeze at like 50 degrees, so
Yeah.
it lasts quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that has just changed everything for me. Like I went from being able to fursuit for 30 minutes max at a time to 3 or 4 hours, and
Oh
it's
wow. Yeah.
and like yeah, and my suit's has like that thick minky fur, so it's really bad for like wicking away moisture and heat. It gets
Mm-hmm.
hot, but that vest really helps out.
Oh yeah, and I can attest to the magic of a cooling vest because I have one myself. It's a simpler one where it's just these packets of water that you put in your freezer and they freeze up and you put them in. You put on your vest, you put on your fursuit, and you just frolic around and have fun. I was able to just last like a couple hours and in that suit without like boiling in the suit, which is a lot better than what I can usually do. Like usually I can do like 15, 20 minutes and then I'm just like dripping with sweat and just feeling disgusting.
Let's lounge.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem is that when before I had that vest, I would be like lounging in the or the fursuit lounge and I would not be leaving. You'd be seeing me in that lounge more often than outside in the lobby, just like mingling with friends and other people, and it always killed me because I'm like I come here to not just like hang out in this big ass room with a bunch of fans. I want to go out there and just like be a big fuzzy wolf and hug people and just do stuff and be silly and whatever. And I'm not doing that when I'm like half sweat, half human, half sweat.
Oh god, like at Anthrocon last year, like someone wanted a hug from me, and I was at the I forgot what hotel it was. It was just like a block or just a block away from the convention center, like
Mm-hmm.
most of them are.
Yeah.
But I had to walk there because I didn't know about the shuttle system because I'm an idiot, and I walked from there to the convention center in the hot sun in July. And someone's like, "Oh my God, it's Wolf Ezo. Like, can I have a hug?" And I'm like, "I am half sweat. I don't know if you really want one right now." They're like, "I don't care anyway." And they hugged me, and it was a squish.
Oh,
Oh.
And that's with cooling vest too. And Lifty, to kind of talk about like I also had one of those types of cooling vests that you had, and it worked great for me. Actually, it would allow me to fursuit more intensely for a time.
Mhm.
But the problem I found is that at so many cons, like you won't have a reliable freezer to kind of refreeze them, or it
Oh
might
yeah.
be the summertime, so you can't just set them outside. And
Yeah.
those easy cool down packs only need like 56 degrees Fahrenheit to solidify. So what you do is just get like an ice bucket or like the just to get a trash can, dump some ice from the ice machine in the hotel, fill it full of water, throw your inserts in there. Within 30, 40 minutes, they're solid, frozen again. You can go back to fursuiting.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
like yeah, that was definitely went like my last MFF. Well, I was probably fursuited for 15 plus hours. When my very first MFF, I maybe fursuited for 2 hours total.
Yeah.
So man, I need to get like a sponsorship deal from Easy Cooldown or something.
Oh yeah. I mean,
If you're listening, hit me up.
I don't even know if they're listening to this podcast, but yeah, hit him
Yeah,
up.
you never know.
Hit him up
Yeah.
and hit us up. I mean,
We will
I'll
promo your
I'll shell
products.
Easy Cool all day. They pay us.
Oh
Hell,
yeah.
no, they don't even have to pay us. Just give us the vests. Just give us a vest, and we'll review it. We'll sing praises about it all day.
Yeah, we'll review it. We'll wear it to conventions. We'll shill it. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Welcome to that sellout life, boys.
So while we're on the subject of fursuiting, a lot of people, of course, are talking about suiting outside. I do see you sometimes, suiting outside in like when it's snowing outside. When you suit like that, do you wear a cooling vest at all, or how do you just handle the snow?
I mean, the snow itself is not enough to cool me down in that fursuit. Like, still full cooling vest underneath it.
Really?
Like yeah, especially like my chest gets really hot for some reason.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, there's a few pictures of me, like Jackson Jackrabbit took a few pictures of me in fursuit back from our old building in downtown, and actually I don't think I had the vest on there, but I remember like I just started to get really hot after a while, and it's still pleasant to be out in the snow, but like you just can kind of naturally suit for like 30 minutes versus like me being inside for like 5 minutes before I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean, so back when I was living in Duluth, like a decade ago, I was just thinking back, and I was like, I would have loved to fursuit in that weather, because that was back when like the weather would be like below zero, and you'd still see people checking their mail in their underwear and then going right back inside, like the cold wasn't even bothering them at all. And I'm just like wondering, it's like, how it would feel to just like be in that winter wonderland all day fursuiting. And then I hear from you that you'd still be boiling.
The first 2 nights at MFF last year were like really cold. Like I want to say like it was like under 20 Fahrenheit, and I think like that plus cooling vest was like perfect, because the cooling vest like almost didn't melt at that point because it was basically just refreezing itself, on top of me.
Yeah.
And also there needs to be like a breeze too. If it's just kind of cold, still air, it doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about, like as being from Minnesota, like there's a lot of cold weather, a lot of good optimal fursuiting weather.
Oh yeah. But I'll call also the weather up in Minnesota. It kind of varies between like the Iron Range area and the Twin Cities, because sometimes you'd have like a dumping of snow in the Twin Cities and Duluth doesn't feel anything. Like I don't know, remember the Metrodome that was there, or the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, when it had that massive amount of snow that just piled on top of the roof, and then it suddenly collapsed.
Oh yeah.
Did all that. Yeah, I was there, and the funny thing about that was that I was watching the news about that, and I was looking out my window. It's like, oh, where's all that snow?
That just proved God was a Bears fan when the snow just collapsed on the Metrodome. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that on the news, and it was just so hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Someone was like, "God must be a Bears fan if he's doing that to Minneapolis."
Yep.
It seems a lot of times though that like there'll be like really bad weather coming through, and then it just like splits over the Twin Cities like an act of God or something, and
Yeah.
like I want snow, and then I don't get any.
Yeah. And then it all just kind of goes up in like the northern part of the state because of all that lake effect snow.
I've actually been up that way. I should eventually.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely. You won't regret it. Duluth is a beautiful city. The Iron Range is very beautiful. If you're ever going up 35, make sure to stop by Toby's in Hinckley. You will have the best cinnamon buns you'll ever taste. I mean, I always take a stop there every time I'm going up to Duluth, and the taste never disappoints.
Sounds good.
Marching band is fursuit light. I've never been in marching band, so I wouldn't know what that's like.
I haven't either. I was much more of a choir boy, as you might kind of hear from my voice. Choir director liked me, but my friends, a lot of them did marching band. I just like after school see them in their full uniforms, in August, sitting on the football field at 4 p.m., just standing there, sweating their ass off. I'm like, ha, oh,
Oh, those poor souls.
like I'll never experience anything like this until I get my fursuit decades later.
Oh. No, I'm looking at the summer temperatures, and down here in the south, um, it's just like it's 90 degrees, 100 degrees, and I just can't imagine anybody marching in this kind of weather. And those poor kids, they still do it. They still do it.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially in Florida.
Yeah,
Like, I don't get how anybody can do
when
that.
it's hot and swampy down there.
Oh yeah, same with Louisiana. Louisiana is like my second home. I grew up there. I was sent there when I was growing up to live with my aunts and uncles during the summer. And I gotta tell you, some days it may be like 83 degrees, but it's so humid it feels like 110. And it's like,
Yeah,
how can anyone live in this kind of weather? It's just insane.
it's an affront to God,
It is. It is.
living in such conditions.
Yeah.
See, I moved to Minnesota to kind of head off climate change. So, this will be beachfront property soon. So, I'm preparing ahead of time.
Well, that sucks for me and Lifty. We're in Maryland, right by the water, right by the Chesapeake Bay, and
Yeah.
so that's going to be underwater.
It's been pretty moist this summer. Like we've had downpours like 3 times a week, and
And we had the hurricane that came up here with all the tornadoes.
yeah. So either we're gonna be blown away or we're gonna drown to death. So God has
Or
just given
both.
us God has given us an option here. And I'm like, I don't know which one's better.
Why not both? See? Yeah, why
Hey,
not
you
both?
know what? If
Why not both? at
okay,
this
you know
point?
what? If God or global warming or whatever wants to give me both, I say I'll take both. I don't care.
It is 2020. You have an option for how you want to go.
I'm just wondering what kind of freak of nature storm is on the horizon for us, because I think we're tempting fate there.
Locusts, like a big plague of locusts.
We already had those.
That's right, we did. Jeez, I forgot. That wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
What a year so bad you forget a plague of locusts already occurred.
I,
Forgot all about that.
Yeah, compared to what else has happened, Locust seems kind of tame and forgetful.
To be honest, you could tell me that like a meteor hit the Earth somewhere, and I'd be like, "Wait, did it? Did it not?"
So what chapter of Exodus will happen tomorrow?
I'm imagining soon as I'm just like, since I don't live near Yellowstone, but I'm kind of in the air path from Yellowstone if the volcano does erupt.
Oh god.
So like that's like the ultimate like doomsday thing for me right there. Like okay, that's just time to put it all in there. That's going to be like December 31st, 2020. Yellowstone erupts.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh my god.
Essentially guaranteeing that this year will end in tears.
That will be the worst. That will be a great punctuation to the worst
There
year
needs to
of
be
all
a
time.
furry con in Yellowstone. Oh my God, Luis.
Louise.
Well, you know what?
Whoa, Stone.
There
Ban
is a furry con that's starting up in Wyoming. I don't know when that's happening, but
Is
apparently
there
it's
enough
gonna be
furries
next
in
year.
Wyoming for that?
I don't think there is, but they're gonna make it happen anyway. So props to whoever's doing that.
I got friends in like Nebraska. I know it's not exactly close, but in terms of population, I'd assume it's close. And I think they have to kind of like tag on to like the anime con or something for their group.
Yeah. That's
To
actually how
latch on to the weebs.
That's actually how one of our conventions in Virginia started out. FurSonaCon started out as an offshoot of another sci-fi convention called Ring of Fire Con. And when it started, it was like really,
Far.
Yeah, it was really awkward how it started, but it kind of flourished into its own thing. Now Ring of Fire Con is no more, and FurSonaCon is still going. So yeah, props to them for making it.
Oh,
But yeah,
there it is. I found it. Forever West. It was
Forever
supposed to happen.
West.
Yep, it's going to take place in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Well, was supposed to take place this year, September 25th to the 26th, but it'll be taking place next year in September. So there
Yep.
you go.
Yep. Thanks,
Oh yeah,
coronavirus.
yeah, and just north of here. Oh god, what was it called? Someone in chat, please. The FurCon in Winnipeg.
Hold on. I could probably Google it.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to go to. I got some friends up in that area, but I think that one's like really small. But they're only like in their second or third year there.
Hmm. Wild
Yeah,
Prairie Fur Con. There we go.
Well, that's it. Wild Prairie
Yeah.
FurCon.
Yeah.
it's a nice one. Yeah, we have I guess a newish FurCon that just start. Well, yeah, it's still pretty new, right, Lifty? For SonaCon,
Yeah, yeah. It's still pretty
fairly
new.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, down in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
We're fortunate, I guess, in the DC area. We have access to a lot of conventions within a 4-hour drive, and so you never have any doubt in your mind if you'll be able to attend a FurCon this year because we're so fortunate. I'd say our home con is what? Furthermore.
Yeah. Yeah. Furthermore, we also have Fur Affinity United, which is down the road in Dulles. And
Herndon, but yeah.
don't you start. Don't you start. Don't you start with your imaginary places.
It's technically Herndon, Virginia.
No,
but
it
okay.
isn't. There's nothing in Herndon.
It's literally a
No,
they
no,
have their own mayor.
that's fake news. That's fake news.
See, so if you want to
Imagination.
if you want to make Lifty like just his eye twitch, just mention Herndon, Virginia. He just doesn't like that town for whatever reason.
It doesn't exist.
So Herndon has their own mayor and their own council.
They're
and
just a
is-
bunch of LARPers.
What LARPers?
Yes, they're a bunch
Yes,
of. It's like
they mark as a city government, Lifty.
no, it's not.
Sure,
It's not a city government. It's like calling an HOA a city government. No.
Well, that's the Villages, Florida. At that point, that's a bunch of HOA people LARPing as a government. But
Yeah.
no, Herndon is a real place. But we have that. There's Western Pennsylvania Fur Adventure,
Furry Weekend.
Furry Weekend, of course, AC, and Furrydelphia.
Yeah.
So we're
Furrydelphia. There were talks about me going there to kind of take a more hands-on approach with some stuff there, but that kind of all fell through, and I still kind of wish I would have gone. But that was, that's hindsight, knowing that the coronavirus hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. And Silex, you've been to Philadelphia. I mean, you can pretty much say it's a good con. It's a small convention.
oh, it's a great con. It's in King of Prussia, right near the mall. It's a great con. I went there I went there last year.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun. They have gambling at the casino, which I enjoyed a lot.
So it's like a mini BLFC.
Yes, I like a mini BLFC, and I'm so happy it's at a casino.
Oh yeah.
So, no, it's up and coming.
Like, it's definitely like smaller cons overall. Like, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the big cons are a lot of kind of like you have to get your, I don't know, like your required amount of whatever out of the way before you can actually kind of have fun. You're always kind of busy being pulled around here or there. But small cons, it's, just chill out with people you want to hang out with, meet new people, have a few drinks.
Yeah. I agree
Have
with
some
you,
pizza.
actually. Yeah. And I'm a person that loves the smaller conventions because they just seem more cozy. You know people who are there. It doesn't seem as hectic as the big conventions. And this is why I've always said that Furthermore, which is now in Arlington, is one of my favorite cons because it has that cozy feel.
Of course, you mentioned Arlington.
Well, why not? I mean, is it not in Arlington?
Any chance to mention your favorite place in the world, you'll take. It's okay.
Yes,
I don't
well,
judge.
I mean, I'm just saying, Arlington is a great place. Furthermore is a great convention in a great
It is
place.
It's a wonderful
Yeah,
convention.
and I would highly recommend anybody that's interested in coming to a Southern convention, hit up Arlington and come to Furthermore.
That's not the South, but Okay.
Let's
Some
pretend that it
people I
is for a
played
minute.
Eve with that were on the board or something for Furthermore, but I forget who they were.
Okay. We
They were
might.
trying to get us to come out there.
Oh, okay. I think we may know a few people.
Yeah, yeah, we may have a few mutuals
Yeah.
who might do that.
It's like everyone either is a furry or plays Eve Online, and one of those two that Venn diagram for me kind of like meets. It's always just a big nerd fest for me.
Yeah.
I say at every convention, I always end up just talking about Eve Online for 6 hours with someone. Like even at Fernal Equinox, great, my first and only international con really. Uh, Walking there through fursuit, a collie fursuiter came up to me and gave me they said, "Hey, you're Wolf Ezo, aren't you?" I go, "Yeah, I am." And he gave me a backward salute, which is what one of our allies in Eve Online do. It's like the normal emoticon for salute. It's a 0 or a O and a 7. They do 7 and O because they're like intentionally fuck ups. And the
Oh.
guy does that. The guy does that salute back to me. I'm like, "Oh shit." And then he name drops our alliance's strategic commander, and our alliance is of 15,000 people, so you know the guy that controls all the military there. You're somewhat higher up. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, this fursuiter I'm talking to, this collie, apparently knows more than he's letting on. And I talked to him a little bit and learned that he's the head of the military of one of our allies, Brave Coalition. I was like, holy shit! I flew under this guy before I was even a furry. Like, I know who this guy is. And he's like, don't tell anyone it's me. Like, don't out me as a furry. I was like, oh wow, like there's just this random guy is like a higher up in Eve who's way more so much more powerful than I will ever be, sitting here in a fursuit. Just we're sitting chatting up in this hallway, and that happens to me like once a con, it seems.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of propaganda that features my persona in Eve Online that I've made, so
Oh, awesome.
people will recognize also, just the general look of me, I guess.
Now, do you post these on Twitter?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
A lot of it goes on the either the Eve subreddit or I just post it actually like in the chat in game just to troll people.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
It's like, oh, look, this is a battle report about a good fight, and it's structured like a URL to the battle report websites.
Yeah.
But really, if you hover over the URL, it goes to Fur Affinity and links to one of my arts.
Nice. Nice.
I'm tricky.
Yeah. Ah.
Just the fun part of gaming. Actually, at MFF 2018, it was the Circle Jerk, our corporation, was pretty much got a death sentence to it, so we were partying to kind of celebrate its death. And through some Telegram chats of Eve chats, we were like, hey, join our party. It's an Eve Online Furries party. We thought it would just be people from our alliance that we kind of knew already. We actually had people that we had no idea played Eve who were like on our opponent's side. Our enemies showed up to this very small room party we were having, and we welcomed them with open arms. We drank, we talked about the game, we had a great time talking about how, we'd kick each other's asses in game. And eventually, a person who's a developer for CCP, which is the studio that makes Eve Online, doesn't work for there anymore, but he's actually a furry and showed up to that party.
Oh,
And even,
shit.
so like, wow, like an ex-CCP dev is here partying with us, and we got representatives from all the major alliances here drinking, and we're all furries. That's so fucked up.
That's
Like
awesome.
this
Actually.
isn't an Eve convention. It's a furry convention.
I
Well,
love the overlap
yeah.
between the two communities. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
And the funny thing is, like, I had our alliance flag on our hotel window, and I got in trouble for my Eve alliance for having that up. They're like, if we had like a rainforest type of scenario or something, and there were like news reporters there taking pictures, and we saw the Test Alliance flag hanging up, like that, we'd get all in so much trouble. And
Oh, no.
and then
I
they
mean, you were
handed it
just
off.
having fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were having lots of fun, lots of booze there. And pro tip to any listeners who are of age, able to drink and rent a hotel room to throw a party: food. Get food. Just
Yes.
order a few fucking pizzas. You will make everyone else's night, and they will remember it forever if they're not drunk enough.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, It is about that time. It has been an hour, actually.
Yeah. Almost
Time
done.
flies.
Yeah.
It does fly when you're having a great time. Thank you so much, Ezo, for coming on and gracing us with your presence.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on here.
Oh,
Yeah.
not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Now, if you'd like to, is there anywhere anyone listening can find you on social media?
The best is a Twitter. I'm most active on there. Just a Wolf_Ezo. Just WOLF, the underscore, and then EZO. I'm usually there shit posting. You can also find me on Instagram under that same handle. Twitch, Ezo the Wolf. I mean, you can see me in the chat bar on the side already. Spamming in chat. Look at that.
Can we make this the title of this episode?
Sure, bottom text.
Yeah, we can make that the title. I'm okay with that.
Just follow me on Twitter. The best place to find me.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
It was wonderful having you guys here.
Yeah, thank you. And it was wonderful having you as a special guest. This was a wonderful episode. And if you like what you hear, please feel free to follow us on Twitter at Furry Frequency. And also don't forget to follow our Twitch channel if you're watching for the first time twitch.tv/Furry Frequencies. Damn it, my vibes are kicking in.
Oh no.
Yeah. So thank you again, listeners, for joining us for another exciting episode of Furry Frequencies with me, Lifty.
Psylocke.
And our special guest, Wolf Ezo.
It has been an honor, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The honor is ours. Thank you again for joining us for this episode. And with that, we are calling it a night. Thank you, listeners, and have a great night.
Have a good
Coffee.
evening.